Greetings, magnificent souls, to the Attract Health, Build Wealth podcast, where we have open and honest discussions about ourselves. This is a place where we break down, break away, and break through our limiting patterns, allowing ourselves to attract health, build wealth, and live a peaceful life. We are tired of being sick and tired. We are tired, but we are not giving up. We know that there is something magnificent inside of us. And because we are fighting daily, hourly, and by the minute, fighting ourselves, our kids, our spouses, we have to do things differently. We have to break the cycle. We don't have a million chances. We have to be happy now. We have to find a way. So how do we do that? How is that possible? If you look around at what society is telling you, they tell you that what we're doing is impossible. Yet it's happening every single day. And it's happening through the practice and the love that we call awakening the magnificent soul. We are all magnificent souls, and these are our stories of healing. Today in episode 63, I wanted to share some experiences I had this past weekend. But before we get into the podcast, don't forget to let me know your thoughts about this episode, any feedback you have, or anything you'd like me to cover on future podcasts at epiphanyvault.com. I would be happy to go over them here, and you can submit or share anonymously and just reach it out into the universe. I welcome any discussion. Also, a quick announcement is that I'll be releasing something on the next podcast, so be sure to keep in touch or to come on over to my Instagram page at Lilli, where I'm a lot more active, so you can get everything and all of the goodness real time. And also, just a quick note, I recorded this episode on an IG Live, so you can hear my dog barking in the background. With all the new changes, I haven't been able to send out a purely single episode just for this community, but I will get an episode out to this community as soon as I can. I'm hoping next time. So now on to the show. Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee with Lilli. It is in full effect. So, boy, did I learn a lot this weekend. That is what I am here to chat about a little bit today on this Wednesday morning with Coffee with Lilli. If you follow me on any of the socials, mostly Facebook and Instagram, you may have known that I have moved. Beautiful reclamation of coming to self and really manifesting a beautiful house, which I'm so grateful for. But, man, I had some learning experiences this weekend, so I wanted to share a little bit about that. So Lilli Bewley HQ has changed, and my dog is just now learning that she can perch up there. So I don't know what's going to happen. But here's what I learned this weekend. Oh man, so much. I was really proud of myself for a couple of reasons. So in the process of moving, for me, thank you. So in the process of moving, I came across quite a few instances where I was triggered. And I'll kind of talk a little bit about that today, specifically about impatience and about if it's a pattern that you're seeing, how it can really indicate something else maybe going on for you as well. So we're just going to have to roll with it today. So if you hear my dog, I apologize. So I had everything planned out. I have a really, really packed day today. I have a couple client calls. I have a masterclass that I'm hosting later on, and I have a whole house that I need to unpack and organize. And so yesterday, the movers were supposed to come really early in the morning. I woke up at 5. I wake up almost every day really early and really just present myself fully for the day. That's just how I roll. So what happens yesterday? They're supposed to show up at 8 a.m. and they are delayed, they're overbooked. I don't really know what's happening with that company, but they don't end up showing up to my place I'm moving out of until 3 p.m. So we get to the house, the new house, and they unload and everything like that. And I'm sitting there with boxes everywhere, and it's 5:30. And so my plans have really gone to shit, or at least what I'm trying to say. Here's where I'm proud of myself, because I know, and this is what I love too about healing and this whole process of healing and coming into ourselves, our true selves, and really being an active component of our self-love practice, is that I love kind of looking at my past self and being like, yo, hey, old Lilli, what's up? And really just ruminating on how I would have acted in the past or how I would have been triggered. And I can definitely say that the past version of myself would have definitely been triggered and been very impatient with the whole situation that was going on. Absolutely. Because I come from a past of being in a very controlling pattern. I had to have control in my life at that time because control was safe. I had to be able to predict what was happening in my life so that I could remain safe, because I did come from a very chaotic environment. So I just want to say, like, whatever these reactions are, if this is something that is triggering for you, or that you're recognizing with, I just want to approach this from my perspective with a lot of self-love and compassion. And also I would hope that you can give this to you as well. And this is kind of, great awareness, right? And my past Lilli would have been so pissed. She would have been talking to the manager. She would have been creating, maybe even trying to change companies. She would have been very agitated, very stressed, very full of anxiety. She just would not have been able to proceed through the day without being in this really anxious state. And guess what? That was nearly deactivated for the most part yesterday. For the most part. And I also used to get very impatient with drivers, very impatient with, drivers on the road that maybe didn't signal, or whatever the situation was. I used to get very impatient in grocery lines. I never felt like that I picked the quickest line. And so I would literally almost act like a child. I would get impatient. And it was an activation. Like, I felt stressed, I felt anxiety, so there was definitely some physiological, and if we work together, or if you follow me a long time, you know that I'm very tapped into the body awareness when it comes to that. So I'm like, this situation that I was presented with yesterday, all of my healing had really allowed me to be safe within myself and within these situations that are changing, and be okay and adapt and be flexible. If you know about plasticity, neuroplasticity, there's the nervous system has plasticity as well. There's, we are very adaptable human beings. But if we are holding some internal wounding, some internal blocks, or things that are causing us to activate quickly, like to get impatient, for example, very quickly, if you notice that about yourself, and that's a triggering thing and something that you don't like, if it's a behavior that you want to change, then likely that is some work that you need to do regarding those internal root causes. I can say for me, like I said, I grew up in a pretty chaotic household. I grew up where we don't really know, but I'm sure that there was some mental illness in the family. I grew up where I was, very emotionally, physically, spiritually, emotionally unsafe. And so what that turned out into was, here I am in my adult life where I'm not even in that situation anymore and I'm being triggered. So if you're triggered by things that are really, for lack of a better term, small. So if you're triggered by things that really don't warrant that big anxiety response, then that is a good indication that there may be some inner wounding that you need to work through, some root cause wounding. So I hope that makes sense. And if, again, if your impatience also calls, man, just thinking about it is just mind blowing. But, for the grocery line example, if I really got impatient and, people would try to talk to me and I would just snap at them, I would be a little bit ashamed of the way that I was acting and reacting. And that was a deep shame, right? Because I really didn't feel like that I was that person, but it felt like it at the time. So again, if small things are coming up in your life where the reaction, the body reaction, the emotional reaction, maybe even the spiritual reaction does not match the situation, because of course, yes, it would be awesome for me to have a fully unpacked house and for everything to be organized and for me to not have to dig through boxes to get my cappuccino machine, for example. First world problems. But yes, that would be amazing. But I would rather live in a calm, pure, aligned, central place than go back to that trigger or that anxiety. And it's not a matter of willpower. Let me just say, if you're noticing this, there's nothing wrong with you per se. There's really just a part of you that needs to be healed. It's in there. I absolutely believe that. So I hope that helps today. Don't forget, I have a masterclass tonight. You can check all the details to sign up. It's complimentary. Tonight we're going to be talking about freedom from codependency. Codependency is also a coping mechanism, just like this impatience thing is that we're talking about today. And if you're noticing codependent patterns or really others-focused patterns, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We already have a really great group that is attending, and there are just a few more spots available. So go grab your spot. It's, again, complimentary, and I will see you there. You can do that at soullove.today. See ya.